All right.
What's going on? We're here. It's cold. It's early. You haven't eaten in a couple days, Mr. Mitidiero?
No, and I'm doing fantastic. I'm on a 3-day fast. I'm on day 3, and I feel great. So,
hey, sometimes you got to purge.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm just doing challenged with my buddy, and he's always got something crazy for me. So here I am.
It's got to stay. You got to get after it for the buddies, right? Speaking of challenges and marketplace, cold, hot, all of this misconception. Another episode here. I think we're going to do, this is part 2, though we'll have part 3 in a couple weeks. First-time home sellers.
Right.
Lots of questions, lots of confusion, lots and lots of misinformation, disinformation, however you want to go about it. What is the craziest question a seller's asked you in 2020? A prospective or actual seller?
I find most people actually ask the same things, which is why, it's great, I think, to use an experienced agent who's dealt with. Now, there's a number of the same things that they ask. How long is it going to take? Misconceptions that they have. There's a lot of similar misconceptions. There's a lot of people that think, start high and will sell low. And I think the biggest thing I think we see is when people contact us, they want to be like hesitant about it. And then they're also kind of trying to like sell us on their house. Right. And like, I'm not the one buying your house.
In most cases.
Right.
Sometimes I might want it if you got something really cool, 5 bedrooms, ranch.
Absolutely.
Brick, 10 acres.
If you have 10 acres, a ranch, and a pole barn, I may want to be your buyer. Other than that, I'm just there to analyze what it is that you have to help you in your best light, right? So to do that, it's a lot like, I hate to say it, but it's a lot like parenting, right? Like if you care for your kid, you have to be honest with them and sometimes discuss hard realities. Like understanding what the positive aspects of your house are very easy. I've seen it a million times. Like I can tell that you have a nice fireplace in a 3-car garage and that your kitchen is really nice. Oftentimes what we need to work on is breaking through that barrier of like, I'm not buying it. So you and I need to be on the same page of what the detriments are. Because if you just want to pitch me to get me to some high number, you pitching me, getting me to some crazy high number doesn't mean that it exists. And it can set a really poor expectation for you and me. And you can end up harming yourself a lot by doing that.
All right. So we looked up a couple questions, and I can play first-time home seller here too. I'll try to get all of my experience and bias out of it. But okay, Tony, we're going to set our list price at or you're telling me we should set my list price at this. Can a buyer pay over that?
Absolutely. And it happens quite often. I kind of we've set a lot of record sales prices, and it never occurs by starting out high. People have a tendency to want to haggle. All right. They think, hey, I'm selling something. They don't have a lot of experience selling things, don't have a lot of experience in business. And the way that they view business is this is going to be a back and forth. Now's my time to negotiate. All right. If we give up anything on price at all, anything, the buyer knows that you're soft. Once you show any sign that you're soft, they're going to take that and use it once you're under contract. A contract on your house only obligates the seller. That's very important to understand. The buyer can walk at any time. There's nothing that holds him to the deal. The earnest money doesn't matter. All right. And the only one that gets penalized is the seller. So we don't want to accept something where the guy knows that we're soft. Now he's got us locked up under contract, and he can whittle away on us during the inspection and the attorney review period.
All right. So they can pay over. We just want to make sure that it's like a first date, right? Like you're coming out. You want to be hot. You want everyone to look at you.
Yeah, that was actually a bad way to handle that question. Really, what I should have said is where that comes from is on my team, we spend a lot more time on the front end. And this actually costs us a lot more money because of the time associated with it to understand what the value is. We get fantastic results, but how we get there is not just a quick and dirty, well, here's maybe what it's worth. We'll give it a try. Let's try this. We hear that one a lot. Can't we just try? We'll spend hours. It's like playing. You ever seen where they knock down a domino and it goes all around? It hits this thing, that thing. The next thing you know, it's pushing a car out into the ocean. All right. Well, the time was spent beforehand setting up all of those dominoes. So a proper analysis will get us to what it's actually worth, which is oftentimes in disagreement with what a seller may think, largely because they've been looking at what properties are for sale for. So, well, this one, well, yeah, you've been looking at that one for 3 weeks. Let's take a look at this one that actually closed. Okay. Notice it did not hit its list price. All right. It hit this price. All right. And that's because the buyer who eventually bid on it knew that there was nobody else bidding against him. All right. If you and I go to the auto auction, I use this example. A lot of people haven't been there, but I have. You go to an auction, various times of the year, there's going to be different types of cars that the dealerships have to buy and get into their inventory. So they have these different lanes. And I can tell you that if you go to an auction and the lane that you're in is full of other buyers, the prices are not going to be low that day. The prices are going to go as high as they are, as high as they can get, because guys got to get that car. Now, where I made some gains actually in my own personal life is I used to go to the auctions and I would look for the lane where there weren't a lot of buyers or no buyers at all, and maybe a decent car, maybe not the perfect car that I wanted, but it's a decent car. And when I'm bidding, all right, they can see there's nobody else bidding against me. I can tell there's nobody else bidding against me. Buyers in the real estate market are the same way. If they know that nobody else is bidding against them, why would they give you what you want? All right. And how you get there with nobody else bidding against you is you start high and now you got a week on the market and nobody else is bidding on it. Look, man, I know I'm the only, I can wait longer than that. Okay. So now you got 3 weeks. Everybody knows you failed.
So I think we're starting to see a lot of that metric, right? Because like these headlines come out, prices are correcting or prices are falling. And I don't think they're falling. They might be correcting or they might be coming in because of all of the overlist. If you had to just ballpark it on the Illinois side of the border, houses that sit overpriced for 3 weeks, they start a slide on what they actually close at.
You're going to sell for 5 to 10% less than what you could have if you start out correctly. I see it time and time again. Prices have, and I believe still are, somewhat appreciating. All right. People are saying, no, I saw price reduction. I saw whatever. Well, what we're also seeing is we're seeing most realtors do not take the time to analyze properly on the front end. Or if they have, they don't have the cojones to tell that seller what it's actually worth because they can't properly articulate the value and they're afraid that they'll lose that listing. So they'd rather get you to sign, lock you up under contract, and then we'll worry about it later. A lot of times these price reductions that we see, well, if you started out, it's a $400,000 house and you started out at 500, the fact that you went from 500 to 450 doesn't mean that the value reduced. A lot of times the agent goofed up. So when we look at just the metrics of the market, it's very hard to determine because the data may paint a different picture than what's actually happening.
All right. Data. What a novel term there.
Absolutely.
I think that's when you go to sell a stock or you go to sell crypto or anything else like that, right? There is a market. There is data. There are buyers and sellers at these prices. How can you sell or transact without emotion there? But then, you tie the house and it creates a problem.
Absolutely. One of the best things, my old partner who brought the derivative market to Asia in 1989, so pretty bright guy, he said it best. He said, residential real estate is a rather efficient market. And by efficient, I mean that there's buyers and sellers all of the time, and houses are relatively comparable. All right. They're not that different unless we get into super high end stuff. Okay. So they're trading all of the time. So like any other market, we can look and see what they're actually going for. You know, he was great to work with as a partner when we owned things, because we would look at the market and be like, well, that's what it is. All right. We're not going to trick the market. We see a lot of the people who try to trick the market get hurt badly. I tell them BlackRock went in and tried to move the entire market. BlackRock has billions of dollars. Their billions of dollars couldn't move the market. So like you with your one house, if we just get realistic, we know that there's buyers and sellers. The day that that thing hits the market, there's certainly people looking in your market. I haven't had one yet. And even in 2009, slowest year ever, all right, where we couldn't find other trades happening in the same neighborhood. There's trades happening. So there's people looking. We want that night when people go to bed and see it the first time to say, oh, this looks to be reasonably priced. Looks like a nice house for the money. We got to get in there. We want to draw every last one of them. When they get in there, oh yeah, we like it. All right, we're going to move forward. They write the offer. From that stage, when they send that offer, we want to be, well, you know what? We've got 18 other showings this weekend, and we're expecting another offer. They, wait, what? Now I'm going to lose the house that I actually committed to writing on? Oh, man. All right. Now we're bringing up price. Telling their agent, waive the inspection. Give them $10,000 over list price. This is how we get to best final sales price and most amount of seller control.
That's, I think, the biggest thing right there is you just indicated. So we can, a buyer can pay over list price. You know how to navigate through the contract to make sure that that is a sure thing, not just I'm putting a number on a piece of paper and praying.
Right. And that's something that, we talk to our sellers about is, at least on my team, is like, look, we have to, one of the reasons we want a lot of offers to come in or a lot of interest is so that we can vet out the poor offers. If we get 3-4 weeks down the road, you very well may likely have to go with an offer that's not quite as strong as what you'd like in terms of the quality of the financing, the quality of the agent, and the quality of the buyer. Because if we go much further in time, then you're just going to be reducing price based off your market time. All right. So we get this done right at first. We tell people like, look, we're going to really look through that offer, and it's more than just what was written as the number. How complete was the offer? Did the agent try to pull a fast one? Are there missing blanks because they're ignorant? Or they're missing blanks because they're trying to leave an opt-out for themselves in the future? All right. One of the things that we look at quite a bit to try to protect our sellers is, we see this a lot in Indiana. And I think agents are taught this way, but they will run the mortgage contingency through up and beyond the closing date. Almost if I look at my friends who sell real estate in Indiana, I look at the contracts that they accepted on their listings, you will see time and time again, they allowed their seller to accept the contract where the buyer had an opt-out all the way through the closing date. All right, so how do we plan? You're going to move. All right, first-time home sellers, we're going to have a move for you to the next place. You should be making sure that the buyer buying your place is fully cleared to close several days, hopefully a week in advance of that actual closing, so that you can tell the movers, yep, we're on. Because what do we do today? Movers can be several grand. All right, they're worth their weight in gold. But if we commit them too soon and then we got to say, no, you got to push it out a week, you're going to get a major fee for doing it.
They're charging big rescheduling fees. And that's, again, things that happen in transactions maybe that a first-time home seller is not aware of. Real quick, we'll end it with this question, then we'll go into series 3 in a couple weeks here. We talked about, can my house sell for over this? I've also read, I'm a first-time home seller, Tony, that I don't have to pay the other agent or something like that. Is that true? I can just sell this thing for nothing?
Sure.
I don't want to put you completely on the spot with that question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's a great question. And yes, you don't have to. All right. When we list your house today, you're only obligating yourself to my side representing you. Okay. All right. However, real estate has been sold with incentives to the buyer's agent for 50 years. It created the most efficient real estate system on the face of the globe. There's no other system around the globe that worked as well. So recently, the law has been changed to say that you don't have to, and I can't show what you're paying. However, you should expect this buyer has signed an agreement with their agent that says that they're going to get paid about what we used to pay for the last 40, 50 years. All right. However, that buyer's agent's going to try to get it from this seller. Now, we're selling your house, we're buying a new one. What's one of the biggest things we're working on and concerned about is down payment.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So if we take away your down payment and take thousands of dollars out of it, it will knock you out of the box because that's on your 5%. Maybe you're putting 10% down or 5%. Well, if we take thousands of dollars out of that, all right, it's going to knock you out from even being a buyer. All right, if we're putting 5 or 10% down, this essentially is what you're doing to a buyer when you're saying, I'm not paying your buyer's agent's commission. You're going to take them out of the box entirely. Whereas you and I should be most concerned about what your net proceeds are. All right.
That's the gasoline in the next transaction.
Right. And by net proceeds, I mean, if your house is worth $400,000 and we say, and I tell you, listen, I'm going to charge you $200,000 to sell it. Whoa, that's crazy, right? But that's assuming it sells for $400,000. That means you net $200,000. Well, what if I sell it for $800,000? And would you be happy then? All right, I'm charging $200,000, but you put another $200,000. So you care that I made $200,000? No, you put an extra $200,000 in your pocket. So that's kind of how we're going to look at it. We certainly don't want to take the lower down payment buyers off the market, because in the southern suburbs, Northwest Indiana, what percentage of people would you say are putting less than 20% down?
75%, maybe even 78.
Exactly.
Cash is hard to come by. Look at your own budget. Like I tell people that a lot of times, like a lot of people that are selling and transacting or trading these houses have a lot of equity. They don't have a lot of cash.
Right.
It's difficult to come by.
So if we have a cash buyer, maybe you can push the guy into it. It's probably going to penalize you more than it's worth. However, if we're putting down anything less than 100%, the dollar amount, all right, that those commissions is a greater percentage of their cash. All right. So they're a greater percentage of their total amount in than it is of your total amount out. All right. So much better to consider that. We take them on a case by case situation.
Okay.
I just had one in Cherville where the buyer's agent actually wiped his fee. All right. I believe it was a family deal. It ended up being the best net to the seller. However, it was close. All right. And that wasn't really the reason why. And then I've had others so far where we've had buyer's agent not taking anything. Had one in Cedar Lake this year, and it was not the best deal for the seller. It was better for him to pay the commissions. So it's case by case.
So as you're going through this process, and I'm Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right? So we've sat down, we've gone through all of the other episodes we've talked about signing the seller disclosures and going through listing agreement and all of that stuff. So now I'm on the market. We went on the market on a Thursday. It's Sunday night. We got 12 offers. You're downloading those, kind of creating them onto a spreadsheet or a presentation going, like, what do I expect? Is it going to be like expected net proceeds here and probability of closing here?
Absolutely. So this is the position we want to be in. Multiple offers on a Sunday night. I tell you, hey, look, we're going to work with them on Monday. Don't expect a call from me until afternoon. All right. Monday morning, we're vetting them fully. We're grading the agent, the quality of the agent. We're grading the quality of the way that they wrote the offer. We're grading their financing. All right. That's the grading side of it. Then we're looking at income to you and probability of that income. All right. When we're looking at income to you, it's everything. Price, any credits they want, it ends up in a whole in a net. All right. Then we're going to give you a recommendation based out of all of these. Sometimes it's, this is the best one, take it. Oftentimes, if we're in that position, it's, this guy looks really good on paper, great agent, great financing, great everything, but this guy's got the better price. We don't have to just accept, just because we said highest and best, we don't have to just accept what was written. I counter on every single offer, just if anything, to establish dominance in the deal.
Hey, don't tell everyone your trade secrets.
It's fine. All right. I counter on them. But if that ends up the situation, a lot of times we'll go to this guy and go to them verbally and say, hey, you have one that's here. We know that you're strong. You know that you're strong, but we're willing to take our risk on this guy. We'll go with you if you bring your price to here. All right. So all of this until we make the final decision that we're going to obligate ourselves to a contract.
All right. So that's it for part 2 of this. Anything else we need to add real quick on it?
You know, I know that I do it dramatically different than most agents though. So with me explaining this to you, like, I'm sorry, I know for a fact this isn't going to happen with other agents. So don't take this as word as to like, this is what happens when you sell your house, because it largely is not. For the most part, you're going to get, oh, they wrote this down.
Here's my envelope. Here's my folder with the CMA.
Here's the offers. This is the highest one. Let's give it a shot. All right. And I'm just serious. So that's how it should. I explained to you how it should be done and how I do it. Don't take that and think that that's how it's done now.
I mean, from our side, it's the probability, right? Like I would rather have a 98% probability that I'm bagging $200,000 than a 48% probability that I'm bagging $205,000.
And actually, briefly, just a couple general, if you're not using me, you're far away, you're whatever, a couple of general ideas of first-time home seller is you really want to make sure you work with your agent to truly understand what it's actually worth. Get rid of your pipe dreams on the front end. You want to make sure that your agent's going to do a good job to present it. And this is all so that we can plan correctly to get to that new house, because we don't want to be worrying about this sale. We want to be worrying about how do we take that next step. We don't want that to get the house of our dreams and have that get disjointed because we tried to fool the market. We hired an agent who won't take the time on the front end, or we ourselves tried to go for some pipe dream as to what it's actually worth. If we get really realistic on the front end, do the work on the front end, we can make that a smooth transition all the way through.
The upfront work, we talk about it all the time, budgeting, probabilities, and having a outcome or a really confident outcome.
Absolutely.
Tony, if people want to list their house, they got questions, how do they get you?
708-259-3734 or Google me.
Spell your name wrong. You can do whatever, however you want.
Exactly.
Mitidiero, mucho dinero.
People spell it way wrong.
You should even get your last name changed to mucho dinero.
That would be awesome.
The artist formerly known as Tony. Mucho dinero.
And how do they get in touch with you?
630-284-9729 to get me on applywithjr.com. As always, we're here to help you guys. We're trying to give you guys advice, trying to help you win in the real estate market. Whether you're a first-time seller, first-time buyer, whomever, whenever, we got you covered.
All right. Have a great week.
I'm done. Cut the show.